Hey everybody, welcome back to Farming Simulator 22 and the channel. We are carrying on the premium expansion, so we're having a look through all the new features. This is part 3 of that. It's going to be the final part of this week. I've actually enjoyed it a lot. It's been, a nice change of pace, and some of the equipment they've put in I've actually thought was a really good addition by Giant. So for me so far, this is a big thumbs up, but I will give you my final take on it at the end. But what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to actually focus on the new crops from start to finish. So this field I kind of like shrunk down just to make it a little bit more manageable in this episode. I have already put lime down, but the plan is we're going to split it into kind of like 3. We're going to have carrots, parsnips, and the red beets, and we're going to plant them all in, do everything from start to finish, see if we can get like the maximum yield without doing rolling and mulching. Now the reason I say that is because there was nothing in the field before, so we couldn't mulch anyway, but it's only 2.5%. But rolling, really, we should not be rolling this. We should not be rolling it. And if we lose a 2.5%, bonus because of that, then I'm happy with it. Because the ridges, we're supposed to create the ridges for this crop to be in the ground. And if we roll it, then we're obviously pushing back down them ridges. So it kind of just doesn't make sense. Which is why there's a really good mod called No Need to Roll. And it's on crops like that. So not like a seed bed, for example, like wheat. You can compact that. It makes it stronger. It kind of pops through. Makes obviously the first after germination makes it stronger when it's coming through the ground. It's irrelevant when it comes to crops like this because you can't roll that kind of stuff. I mean, technically you could go over it again after you've planted it with the ridge tool to make it like a more compact ridge. I mean, I don't know if that's a thing. I'm just thinking out loud here. But yeah, the rolling just doesn't make sense. So we're not going to do that, and we're not going to do the mulching. But we are going to look at everything else. So we'll get into that in a second. The final thing as well we'll do is some of the productions that we've been sorting out. We're going to try out obviously the total soup, you could say, which is the one where we combine the 3 together. And yeah, we'll just do something with the crop that we get just to try and make a bit of cash. I mean, there's no reason for it because I'm already at 2.8 million. We've been spawning money just left, right, and centre whenever we've needed it, just like these tractors and equipment. It is just to showcase and try out. But before we start into that, I just want to point out the grass. Now, if you watched the last episode, I did point out that the grass was kind of looking a bit dry, but I didn't really notice it. And then as we got into the winter, I really noticed it. It was like a dark colour. It just basically looked like all the green and the nitrogen levels and whatever else was just drawn out of it. You could tell it was winter. It was struggling, the grass was. It looked dry. It looked like it was just completely dying off. Now, we're obviously in April now, and you can see that it's lush again. It's gone green. We've got flowers coming through, and this is what I'm calling like the wild grass. It's not the grass that you mow or anything like that, not the planted grass in fields. But this grass, I just love the idea of it. I love the idea of how it changes with the seasons, just like you'd see with the bushes and the trees and stuff like that. I do like it. I think it's really, really cool. And it'd be good to have that on other maps. So yeah, just wanted to point out that now we're in April. You can see that it's what we can expect, which is obviously like a lusher, greener grass that's obviously growing well. Right, so let's figure this out then. First thing we're going to do is we're going to try out a few pieces of kit. Obviously cultivators, disc harrows. I've got a subsoiler as well. Now, there is a few more, but I'm not going to try them out. I'm just going to talk about them. I think that's probably the best thing to do because I can't really use everything. Unfortunately, it's like the weeder. I've picked the biggest one. I've gone for a 6 meter instead of the 4.5, but they're identical, just a bigger width on them. We're not going to need to try out that trailer or the muck spreader. And when it comes to like disc harrows, cultivators, whatever, subsoilers, we're going to just try out a few. But I haven't used this one, for example. But this is part of the premium expansion. I actually am not too keen on this one, just because I feel like it's missing a texture. That's where my brain goes with that one. It kind of that grey tone to it. I know it's probably like that in real life and painted. It just looks like it's actually missing a texture. Don't know why, but I'm not too keen on that one. We've obviously got this. This is a direct seeder basically, which we can use as well, but we're not going to need to use that because it's not for the crops we've got. There's a few tools here. We're going to try this one out, which is a disc harrow, as you can see. We've got a cultivator, but it's 550. It requires quite a lot, 12.3 meters. And then we've got another direct seeder here, which I actually do like. I think this is pretty cool. 6 meter, nice addition to the game. I mean, you can't really fault that at all. Looks pretty cool. So we're not going to need to try that though, unfortunately. A bit like some of these equipment. I have gone for this cultivator and for this subsoiler because I like the idea of, trying out a bit of a subsoiler. But we can't use this combination of tools because we're not going to be planting in any type of crop like that. And we've also got 3 sprayers. Now, I've only picked the one. I've gone for the biggest one just to try out, but you can have a look at these just to see what you think, see if it's worth purchasing for this reason alone. I mean, they're a nice option for a sprayer. They're a pretty big sprayer. Obviously does the job. And you've got a bit of a smaller version there, but they're still quite big in relation to other sprays that we can get in the game. But I thought, why not try the biggest one out? So we're going to go with that one because we are going to need to do some spraying. Now, all this equipment we've looked at, really, when it comes to the vegetable technology, you could say. But we are going to try these kind of style planters out and all that stuff. And we'll do that straight away. And I think that's pretty much it. So let's get into something. I think we'll start off with the biggest one. Let's do a bit of disc harrowing. We're just going to do 1 row of the disc harrowing. So I think we'll need the 8R for this, with it being a bit of a hefty tool. I'm hoping this episode won't go too long, but obviously, you know, it is going to be from start to finish, and we will skip time and everything like that, but yeah, we need to try and be a bit careful, don't we? So this is a big disc harrow. We've got a subsoiler over there, and then we've obviously got this disc harrow. And we've also got a cultivator as well, I think. I think I've got that the right way around. Yeah, this is definitely a disc harrow. Right, so let's get through this. Now, like I said, we're not going to worry about any order that we're doing it in. We just want to try and maximise out what we're doing. So we're just going to harrow this down after we've put the lime in. We're going to mix it up a bit as well. We'll probably see weeds forming at different times because of this, I imagine. We'll find out. And we've got a cultivator next, so we've got the disc harrow now with this one, and I think that probably will do, won't it? So, yeah, 1 pass on, that's fine. So let's just drop that off there. Pick up the next one. Right, so we're going to be using the Bednar 8-meter cultivator. Hey, it seems like it's... Do I have to turn it on? Yes, I do. I didn't think that. So yeah, this is 8-meter cultivator. Now, Bednar. Now, I had to turn that on, so it's kind of like a power harrow in a way. Yeah, I didn't expect that. So, I think we can attach this as well. I think it might have an option to attach to something else. Might be wrong with that. Yeah, it's a bit strange, isn't it? Didn't expect it to have like a power harrow kind of thing going on, but it definitely has an 8-meter. I might do two on this one, but I do like this. I actually think this is pretty cool. Obviously requires a lot more power on your tractor because of the fact it's got a power harrow. I mean, that's a mouthful, that is. Power harrow. But yeah, we'll do another pass, and then we'll probably finish off on that 3-meter subsoiler right at the end. But they have actually added a lot of tools in. They haven't just skimped out, have they? Really, when you think about it, they've done a good mixture. But I will say, so far, my favourite thing has to be that over there attached to the JCB, which is like that pallet fork front loader attachment tool. I just really like it. I know that's crazy because of all the new mechanics that have been added into the new crop types, the vegetable crops, but I still think, as good as it is, it's just... it kind of relies too much on a worker, I think. And I know you've got the boxes that you can use, which I really enjoy doing. I actually, thought that was pretty cool. And the ones that pick up more, you do need someone else to help you out with, or a worker. And I think that kind of restricts people, especially on console, because you're going to have to do multiplayer. At the end of the day, it's a nice addition to the game. The new crops are much needed. I like the fact we've got 3 new crop types, some really cool tools as well. Yeah, I still think, though, that pallet fork front loader attachment has been the best thing for me, which is crazy, really. I just think it's so easy to use, and it's like a game changer, really, for me. I mean, you can always get like a pallet fork attachment on an actual front loader on a tractor, but I feel the way that works, it's just easier to use because you just have to lift it up and down like you would a actual pallet truck. And yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, so far that's my favourite. But we'll find out by the end of this. We'll use everything up. I mean, I'm liking the new tools. I do think that you can't go wrong if if they put in new tools in like they have with this. You've got new disc arrows, new cultivators, new planters, new weeders. There's loads of things, new sprayers. So you have to take your hats off and say that for the money that it costs, it's worthwhile for the amount of equipment they give us. And the map's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, it's not the best map. I probably wouldn't do a Let's Play series on it just because there's so many good modded maps out there that are, an improvement. But at the same time, it's not a bad map. There's a few things on it that are really good, like the grass that I've pointed out. Yeah, it's just, I feel like it's the farmyards really, because as a farmer in Farming Simulator, you spend most of your time on the farmyards, and if they're kind of lacking, it kind of just it doesn't keep you interested as long, I'd say. But then again, you're probably going to be out in the fields more, doing productions more. But yeah, I kind of just think you make home, don't you? You kind of set up base on your farm. So yeah, that's the one thing I think, especially in FS22, the farmyards have been, for me, on base game maps in FS22, the farmyards have been lacking. But the maps have improved as a whole. They look better. There's better things on them. There's more things to do as well overall. So the game has definitely improved from FS19. Definitely. But yeah, we're nearly there. You can see the different texture there as well. It's quite clear, isn't it? Now I'm hoping that that's, because I don't know if that is an actual subsoil texture. I think the tool behind us is leaving a different kind of ground texture. Let's just check that out. So yeah, it's leaving a cultivated texture. You see that we've got the seed bed there. So ploughed would be that one. So yeah, this is actually a subsoiler with a bit of a tool on the end that's obviously making it not look ploughed, which is good, because I think subsoilers may leave that. I can't remember exactly, but I know that they're definitely not just a fully ploughed texture, but they might give us the benefit of not having weeds. So we might get the section to the right there where that's all weeds, but this won't be weeds at all. So that'll be so we'll keep an eye out for that. Well, definitely good tool. Another one that's an improvement, easier to use if you were going to use something. We have to plough in game as well, so this is probably easier than just using a standard plough. So what we need to do now is we need to create the ridges. That'll be the next task. Now there's a few ways we're going to do this. There's a smaller way, which is we attach this tool that kind of like cultivates the ground and then applies ridges, and then we can plant straight after it. They're kind of like attached together. So let's have a look at that in the actual store, just to give you an idea of what I mean. So this tool, you can see it says, this tool is used to create ridges into which you can plant your vegetables afterwards. And then it just goes on about wheel weights. But if you can see the combinations, we can actually add this to it, which is the special planters used to plant vegetables. So let's try this out. I think we go with the smallest one first. I'm just trying to think what track to use. We've got loads lying around now. Shall we go with the Zeta? Why not? Let's try the Zeta out. I've put it in the blue colour. You can get it in two colours, this Zeta. You can get it in the red, and then this kind of like bluey colour. So I thought we'd try it out. Might need a bag of seeds for this as well. So there we go. That's that bit done. Now I'm hoping I can just... There you go. That's that bit done. Yeah, that is crazy, isn't it? And you can see that it plants directly into them ridges that are being created. So that's pretty cool. So first thing we're going to do though is we're going to spawn in probably about here a bag of seeds, because we're going to need them. We might need a bit of fertilizer actually, but we'll come to that in a second. See if 1,000 litres is enough, because it's not a big... Yeah, it's not a big... It only holds 16 litres. That is crazy. That is... That's nothing, is it? So, let's figure out what we're going to plant. I think we'll start with carrots and we'll do it on the top end up here. We are going to be using VCA for this because I want to try and get it bob on. So, and that's good enough for me, about there. And if we just quickly go into here, detect the width, and we'll set it down to 1 degrees, snap angle. That should be good. There we go. So, let's turn it on, turn both of them on, and drop down. Now this, hopefully, will create really cool ridges and actually start planting in. Now, I don't know if it's got enough horsepower. It's my only issue. I kind of put quite a lot into this. And it might need a bit of a front weight, but so far, it's looking good. I think we're off track though, aren't we? There we are. That's my bad. So let's just have a bit of a close look at this. You can see that it's basically creating 4 ridges, which is what we're leaving behind. And then you can see that this, just that tool at the back there is going over the top of that ridge. And then dropping in the carrots. So it's pretty clever, isn't it? Another thing to point out as well, that if you use the ridge tool, it gives you 1 stage of fertilization. Now, I don't know if that means you don't actually have to use the ridge tool. I should probably test that out at the end. We'll just see if we can plant directly in on one of the rows without the ridges, and just to see. But it does state that using the ridge tool gives you some fertilization. So if we have a quick look in here, you can see that it's growing quite nicely. And we're getting 1 stage of fertilize because we're using the ridge tool. So we'll try it without the ridge tool. We'll literally just attach to the seeder at the back just to see what happens. I mean, them ridges are pretty clear, aren't they? Clear as day. So I'm thinking probably do about 4 of these, I'd say. Maybe 4. Yeah, 4. I'd say 4 of these rows will be enough for the carrots. So I'll get the next one done at least, and I'll cut back in when I'm on the final one, but without the ridge tool. I'm on the final ridge, but what I decided to do is I'm going to leave the one that we don't use the ridge tool right to the end on that last row at the edge of the field. Just think it'll make more sense. I also changed out to the John Deere because I realised that I've been really just very unfair on that Zeta, because it's 150 horsepower and this thing together will require about 200. So yeah, it was definitely not a very good idea. There we go. So let's try the next one out then. So with this one, we're going to have to ridge first and then we're going to have to plant. You can't combine them together. But they are much bigger, so it should make easy work of it. So let's lift that up. I don't know if I'll need a front weight. I might need a front weight on this. Yeah, definitely. So let's just get one of them sorted out quickly. There we go. Hopefully that'll help it out. It's still a bloody 2.5 though, isn't it? Right, so we want it probably about there. I also want to check the new width of this tool. There we go. Happy days. Now, you can just about see a difference in the colour. Like that one's more fertilised than the other. I think that is it. Yeah, it is. So I don't think we'll get fertilised until we plant in. Yeah, only when we plant in that'll happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ridge tool all this now because of the fact we're going to have to plant in anyway. Except a little stretch at the end. Now I think it is the same width on the planter, so it'll be 6 meters if I remember rightly. Let's just confirm that. Don't want to get this one wrong. Where are we? Yeah, so that there is 6 meters, and then this planter as well is 6 meters. So we're going to have a stretch at the end, aren't we? That's basically 6 meters that's not going to be ridged at all. But I do like how you can see when it's been planted in, it kind of goes, you know, the darker colour, because it'll be difficult, won't it, to notice whilst you're playing in game if not. I mean, it's usually quite obvious when you're planting in and what it looks like, so. Right, so we're now attached to the Cavernaland seeder. That's the 6 meter or planter. I don't know what you call it. It's probably more like a planter than a seeder. And we've got 4 technically more rows to go. So everything on the left-hand side that's carrots in the darker kind of texture of the ground that's fertilized. Now there's going to be 2 rows of red beets, and then we're going to do 2 rows of parsnips, but one of them is not going to be ridged. That's the way I'm going to work it. Now, this is why using VCA is going to be really helpful in this. You can see that it is going darker, so that's the only texture that notifies really that you've planted in. There's nothing else going on there. But if we have a look, it is applying another layer of fertilizer, which is great. And if we have a look, you can see a nice straight line of red beets going in. So we'll do another one, and then it'll be 2 for the parsnips. But we'll have a look at the end when we're doing it without the ridge tool, just to see what it looks like. Right, so we're on the final pass, and as you can tell, there is a texture. It's just not ridged, so there is a way that you can see that we are seeding in this final row of parsnips, but we're obviously not got the ridges on them like you have on that side. And so we won't be applying that last row won't be applying a first layer of fertilizer. So let's have a quick look at this then. So you can see that's the texture just planting directly in without using a ridge tool as well. No, it does say the weeds are growing and we're going to need to use a hoe on them, but we'll focus on that in a second. But yeah, you can see that's the ridge tool. This isn't without. It will still plant in. It's a different texture, but we get the 1 layer of fertilizer applied when using the ridge tool. Now, obviously you're going to go over it with a sprayer anyway and fertilize it, so you will get this up to fully fertilized. But the benefit of doing it is, 1, you're going to be more realistic when using it and obviously playing like that if you want to try and be realistic. 2, you're obviously going to use less fertilizer because you're just getting a free layer of fertilizer added by just using a tool. So technically that's going to save you money. But there we go. We're all sorted. We're all set up to go. We do need to fertilize at some point and weed, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tend to the weeds and then we can fertilize. We just got to make sure we don't miss anything. But we've got a few months now we can skip through. We're not going to be able to harvest till at least August on these. So we've got May and June really to focus on weeds and obviously focus on the fertilizer as well. So I'll skip through time. I'll jump back in when we're at the next stage and then we'll, crack on with it. Right, so welcome back. We're now in May. You can see as well that we've got weeds in this section and they say small, but we still need to use the hoe style weeder, and then we've also got them over here that are small, and again we need to use the hoe size weeder. But the ones in the middle here, we haven't got any weeds growing, and this is the first growth stage. So that's the first growth stage of red beets. This is the first growth stage of parsnips, and then over here you can see that's the first growth stage of carrots. Now they do look, I think carrots and parsnips look quite similar. Maybe a little, but there is a difference between all 3 really. I mean, the red beets are quite clear, aren't they? Definitely. I do like the look of them. So let's just try this out just to prove that this isn't going to weed them, because you can tell that's definitely not going to happen. We're not going to be doing herbicide. We're just going to go and try and do manual weeding. Let's see if we can get one. Let's just see if we can spawn one in quickly. They're not usually the biggest tool in the world, are they? But we can try and get, I think, usually. There you go. So there's only 1 base game. There is one with the horse DLC. There's a really good one in that. But let's get this. So that's 140 horsepower. This Fiat Agri should do that just fine. Actually, in all fairness, this is big. It's a decent sized weeder. You can't really complain at that. I guess just when using bigger fields, it might be an issue. But no, I mean, look at that. It makes easy work of it. So I'll carry on. I'll get this sorted out. I'll get the other side sorted out. And then I'll skip time ahead to the next month and we'll get the fertilizer done. Right, so welcome back. We're now on growth stage 2. We're in the month of June. You can see this is now how it looks for the carrots. So everything's starting to grow quite nicely. This is how it looks with the red beets. I actually think the red beets, I'd have to say that red beets look the best, don't they? They're definitely more full. It's quite obvious what you're growing. And then finally over here is the parsnips. So let's get into, we'll get there eventually. We'll get into this. Now I am just going to fill this up with liquid fertilizer. There we go. I have turned crop destruction off just to make my life a little bit easier going through this. But I imagine it's not going to be a problem anyway with this. Got narrow tires on, and it's, look at the size of this thing. It's insane. So let's have a look inside this. I mean, these are massive, aren't they? I mean, you'd only really see these on the biggest of farms. But yeah, let's go through this and get some fertilizer down. It's actually really quick as well. It's 16 miles an hour. 16 miles an hour, and you can see that we're applying that first layer over here, and we're also applying the second layer on that. Obviously, with us doing the ridges, it sped things up for us, made it a lot easier. Definitely. So this will be fully fertilised now. The two crops, so we've got the carrots and the red beets will be fully fertilised. It's just that one last pass on the parsnips. But I'll make sure to do that in the month of July. Yeah, really quick and easy with the dyno. It's a beast, and there is 3 of them. If you're into your sprayers, we've got 3 new options now with the premium expansion. Oh, they are big pieces of kit, aren't they? They are. There's no small one. Definitely got the big kit with us now. Right, so I think now we'll just speed through until harvest time. I'll make sure to get this one fertilised again. Just this row here. Just this last pass that we did that's got no ridges. You can just see it as well. It's just, you know, it's quite obvious that these have got ridges and that one hasn't. But yeah, I'll get it to the point we start harvesting now. I think we've actually seen the process quite well. What you need to do, it is straightforward. It is just pretty much ridge work, plant in, fertilise and weed. Straightforward as hell. Right, so welcome back. We're in August and everything is ready to harvest. So this is the parsnips ready to harvest. This is the red beets ready to harvest. I do like the look of them, especially underneath when you can see. Yeah, you can definitely tell, can't you, the red beets. And then obviously this final one over here is carrots. Now the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to do it by the favourite method I found, which was the box method, but the one where you can carry 4. Now all we're going to do is we're going to harvest enough of each one to get 4 boxes of each. So pretty straightforward, and I will do it on a bit of a time lapse because, yeah, we don't want it to go on forever, do we? We want to try and get through this, and I am hopefully going to use a bit of the GPS to keep me in track. There we go. So parsnips is first. We've already done these, so we've got 4 boxes of parsnips to fill up. Hopefully, yeah, we get a good yield with us maximising out and fertilising and all that sort of stuff. You can see from the 3 rows there, you can see the 3 different crops, and you can see that they're all fully fertilised. It looks as well that we're leaving 1 layer of fertiliser as well. So really, you might not need to ever fertilise, because after harvesting this, if you mulched it and then did your ridge tool again before planting in your next time round, it'd be fully fertilised. So yeah, pretty much a big bonus that is. There we go. We're on track now. We're on track. So the first box is filled up, you can see. So it should automatically go to that one there. Yeah, it did. So there we go. Loads going in. Just pretty much put 500 litres straight away.
This fall is a little more than I expected. In so deep I can barely see myself. Yeah, around me feels so heavy but depleted. I find this the place to test myself. 'Cause it's here where I lay in my blanket of despair, where I'm weak but I'm strong and black smoke fills the air, where I'm burned and broken, battered, bruised, I'm blind, but I'm seeing. I'm lost and found and almost drowned. I'm so far from believing. Whoa, I'm bleeding, but I'm breathing. Whoa, in darkness I find meaning. Whoa, I'm broken, but I'm healing. Whoa, I'm bleeding, but I'm breathing. I'm burning low, but I can see no finish line. My demons tell me I should quit and turn back. The smallest flame can light up the darkest night, but it's not enough to keep them off my track. 'Cause it's here where I lay in my blanket of despair, where I'm weak but I'm strong and black smoke fills the air, where I'm burned and broken, battered, bruised, I'm blind, but I'm seeing. I'm lost and found and almost drowned. I'm so far from believing. Whoa, I'm bleeding, but I'm breathing. Whoa, in darkness I find meaning. Whoa, I'm broken, but I'm healing. Whoa, I'm bleeding, but I'm breathing. Are my lungs enough for the smoke and dust, or will I lose control? I'll breathe it in, let the darkness wind put pressure on my soul. I hear the sound, no longer bound to the man I was before. For my broken mind, this is the time to build to something more. Here, where I lay in my blanket of despair. Whoa, I'm bleeding, but I'm breathing. Whoa, in darkness I find meaning. Whoa, I'm broken, but I'm healing. Whoa, I'm bleeding, but I'm breathing.
Right, so welcome back. We are at the final stages. It is now September. We've got a hell of a lot of soup. I mean, I feel like I'm building an end of world shelter, I'll be honest. You know, like a survival shelter where I'm stocking up on preserved foods that are just going to last a long time. Definitely. I mean, I've got a hell of a lot of parsnip soup. I might get fed up of that, but I have mixed it up with you know, the ultimate soup, which has got parsnips, carrots and beets in, or red beets, whatever you want to call them. And then we've got a load of crisps, potato chips. So we're going to go and sell this now, and I've set the money back down to 0 because this is going to be the final thing to do. Now I'm on normal difficulty, and I could get more money if I went to Ellengrat, but I'm going to try a sell point on the map. And the best one at the moment for all three of these is the farmer's market, which conveniently is just over the road. So we're going to go sell it, see what money we get. On normal difficulty, it's not too bad. I think it's worth reminding that, you know, we've only done, I kept saying 10,000 litres, but it's not. It's 8,000 litres. It's four like crates, or 4 crate buckets, or pallet buckets, whatever you want to call them, of each crop. So we had, what, 24,000 litres in total. We've ended up with 14,000 litres of the total soup. So that's like, you know, we put 24,000 in, we've lost 10,000, but got 14,000 litres of total soup, which is a hell of a lot. You know, that is a really good product when it comes to returning money. You can see that it's 2,100 for every 1,000 litres, We've also got 26,000 litres of the parsnip soup, and we got 10,000 litres of the potato chips, or crisps, wherever you're from. So we're going to go and sell these now. We're going to go sell them. I don't think... Wait a minute. It's taken... Wait a minute. Is it this one that we need to go to? Yeah, it is. It's not the battle. This is a different sell point. Run to the front, even though it's shown me that one. So let's see how much money we end up with. I expect it's going to be a lot of money. And there you go, 105,000 from pretty much. Let's just put that into perspective. I know I'll put the potatoes in just to try out, but when it comes to parsnips and all that stuff, let's have a look at the fields we've technically harvested. I was messing about in field 74, which was I only did about 2/3 of it. I'd say about 2/3 of that field, and I've also been harvesting this one down at the bottom, which we split up. I've still got a bit to harvest. I think it's worth just quickly jumping over just to show you that I didn't do anywhere near of all the crops, and I only did a few rows. So let's talk about the new crops then, because that was one of the biggest selling points to this. Overall, I really like the idea that they've brought 3 new crops in. 3 good crops. The production facilities for them are really good as well. I like that. I have to say they've done spot on there. Planting them, the ridge work, all that's really good. I like the idea of the fact you can get fertilizer from obviously doing the ridge work. Overall, it's really good. I just think it's quite difficult to harvest, even with the one that I prefer, which is, I don't know where I've parked it away now. Yeah, just behind, completely just behind us, which is the one that you've got the capability of putting the 4 kind of crates on. I really like that. But harvesting with that one pickup is a long-winded process. It really is. And it's quite tricky to stay in line. You can end up picking up the next row, but then you have to go over it anyway to harvest. So it's difficult. It is tricky to harvest. I'd say one thing that could have improved is we've got this bigger piece of kit here, this actual harvester. You know, you get in it to harvest, but obviously you need a worker. I'd like if that had a container of some sort, just to make it a little bit more easy, because that would be then my go-to. I'd also like it, because you've got the potatoes, you can hold 22,500 litres in this potato one. I'd like it if there was a way of using this so it can actually harvest the other crops as well. That'd be good. And same for the sugar beets. You know, if they updated it so the sugar beets also had the option to harvest carrots or whatever it is, that'd be good as well. Because all these, you know, like this one here holds 45,000 litres. This one holds 43,000. This one, I don't think this actually holds anything, but it's got a massive width on the front attachment. So that, again, is, I think, something that you're going to need to drive. Yeah, so you'll need a worker for that one. But whereas for the Panther, it holds 30,000 litres. And it, obviously, you can have an attachment that's, I think, up to 3 to 6 meters. I think it's 3, actually. Let's just check that. Yeah, 2.7 meters on that one. I think a lot of players have also had it where the standard for the hardest crop has always been potatoes and sugar beets, because obviously smaller headers, a lot more field work involved. Whereas this is even more. Like, this is next level, because you do, like, it's like less than a meter per row. So when we get the option to use equipment like this, I want to be able to have a tank on it, or I want to be able to, I don't know, I can tip to the ground and everything like that, and I could use a bucket and pick it up, I imagine, but I just think that's the only downside to it is the harvesting is a little bit difficult. It's a little bit tricky, basically. But overall, I like it. I like the fact they've added it in, and I think we'll get some updates to some harvesters that mean we can, you know, use them, and we don't have to worry about the fact we need a worker and all that, because this field's not big at all, but as you can tell, it was pretty tricky for me to pick up the single rows with that. And I've enjoyed the idea of using the forklift, the one that I've been attaching to the front of the tractors and using that. I like the idea of that. So if I could get, you know, if I could pick up like a few more rows, I think it'd be, yeah, just spot on them. I mean, I'm not saying we should pick up 3, 4, 5 rows, but at least two, and also just, you know, I'm not missing as much then, am I? Maybe if they just made these rows a little bit wider in the field without taking a hit on your yield. Just because it's a game after all, and it's quite difficult to be that precise going up and down these rows. Even with GPS, you know, it is quite tricky. But overall, I actually really like this DLC. If you had to ask me which one was the best crop for me, because I guess that's an option, carrots seem to give the most money. I think carrots give the most money. They seem like they didn't give off as much yields. I had to kind of go and do probably one row extra to get to the 8,000. I think parsnips give off the most. It seemed like that give off the most yield. But I am guessing on that. It's just from what I felt whilst playing the game. But I have to say this one visually looks the best. I'd say they're all going to make you good money, and they're all a really nice addition to the game. So I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed this week trying out something different and not doing my regular series on Court Farm and also on Castle now. So yeah, enjoyed it. I definitely will activate the Premium Edition going forward into my other playthroughs. Might need a few mod updates. I've got a lot of mods, so we'll see how that goes along. But if I activate it just for the additional equipment and for the additional crop and that front loader attachment, I feel like that is the way to go. And it's made me feel like I can do productions a lot easier with that attachment. I feel like I don't mind actually the manual loading and unloading. I know I could go and get an auto load trailer and all that stuff, but I feel like that's just made it a lot more fun to put the hard work into manually unload and unload. So that's a benefit in itself. Thinking about it, my favorite item, believe it or not, is definitely the front loader pallet fork attachment. I think that's my favorite thing from this whole DLC. I just think it's made me enjoy playing the game even more. So if you are planning on getting the premium expansion, I know it's been out now for a few days, but if you've still been undecided and you are planning on getting it, there's a link in the video description below which will help support me and the channel, and hopefully in the future allow me to get early copies of any content coming to Farming Simulator by Giants, so I can do more previews, first looks, anything like that for the channel. So please feel free to support the channel by hitting that link. Really do appreciate that. And if you've enjoyed the mini-series and enjoyed the videos, please give them a thumbs up because that does help me out. And if you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this one on Farming Simulator.